More than a decade ago, our next guest combined to bring forth a book that suggested that companies should not necessarily worry about competing, but to find new markets for growth. The idea was called Finding Blue Oceans. The book, Blue Ocean Strategy, was written by INSEAD professors Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne. And now the duo have circled back to look at the next iteration of this story with the new book, Blue Ocean Shift. And it's a pleasure to have Chan Kim joining us today. He is a professor of strategy at INSEAD, but today he is joining us from Malaysia. Chan, great to have you with us today.
Thank you.
I want to start with the question of why some companies succeed to find these new areas of growth and others don't. Is it business philosophy? What factors are involved here?
Yes, I think I can say three factors involved in there. One is about lack of blue ocean perspective, and second factor is about lack of their market creating tools, the way they think about to execute their strategy, and also people elements involved. So in fact, in reversely, we can think about what are the key success factors of blue ocean shift. For example, what I mean by blue ocean perspective is that we say, for example, focus on non-customer to create new market space. Mm-hmm. But they keep on focusing on existing customer, end up competing each other. For example, in terms of creating, but they lack of tools, roadmaps. Sometimes also they ignore people, because when you want to shift, you need bring your people along. So these are factors they are missing, so that they are failing in creating new markets.
So do you think then, I would imagine in several cases, companies that really could be innovators end up just kind of being part of the crowd?
Yes, they could. But many occasions, some companies missing all three of them. Some companies getting one right, two wrong. So what we found in making blue ocean shift, these all three elements are the key success factors to be all there.
Why the concept of blue ocean to begin with? I'd be interested to know.
Well, in the beginning, for example, in business school, we define strategy as how to compete. Even until today, many business schools define strategy is how to compete. Because of competing, and when supply far exceeding demand, by winning or beating your neighbors, has certain limited margin to produce. So that if you don't create the demand, there's no way you can grow anymore. Beating your neighbors, not enough. So we found red ocean as defined by crowded market space with a bloody competition. On the other hand, blue ocean being the uncontested market space, there are lots of growth come from this uncontested market space. So we found blue ocean is way to grow in systematic fashion. So that's what blue ocean was all about in the beginning.
Okay. We are joined by Chan Kim, who is a professor of strategy at INSEAD. He is the co-author of the book Blue Ocean Shift with Renee Mauborgne. Your comments are welcome at 844-WHARTON, 844-942-7866. Or if you'd like, you can send us a comment via Twitter, and we will bring it up on the show that way, either at BizRadio111, B-I-Z Radio 111, or my Twitter account, which is at DanLoney21. So then if you're following kind of this blue ocean shift, this is a principle that really could be used by people or companies of any size, correct?
Yes, correct. It can be startup. It can be established company. It can be individual. It can be even government. Non-profit, profit, because it's a more genetic application for all sorts of types of organizations. Mm-hmm. It's a systematic process, how to move from red to the blue ocean. So therefore, it is scalable concept.
How difficult, or I should say, how easy or difficult is it to make that shift in your mind? I mean, obviously, mindset is one thing. Action is probably another.
Well, I think obviously there are many companies. Ever since, let's say, 2005, when Blue Ocean Strategy came out, and many people was experimenting our tools and processes and concepts. And over the 12 years, we have many companies followed. So many succeeded, some failed. We actually have studied what made them fail, what made them succeed. So we have studied the pattern of failure, pattern of success. By contrasting failures and success, now we found pattern, how we make a successful Blue Ocean shift. So if your question is how easy, how difficult, obviously this Blue Ocean shift, that new book, can give them higher maximum opportunity to succeed to minimize risk of failure.
Well, you mentioned...
So that's what qualified answer can be to your question.
You mentioned, Chan, that you're seeing more and more companies kind of take this mindset, this philosophy since your first book came out. Can you provide us examples of companies that have done this and how they have benefited from this new mindset?
Sure. For example, Citizen M in Times Square is obviously studied a hotel, but it's affordable luxury. It's simply put, is five-star comfort
right
at the 3-star price. So these are the example. Also, Wawa. It happened to be a gas station who happened to sell food in restaurant, but they now changed it. Its restaurant also sells gas. So it's a huge quantum growth. This company has scaled up. Also, interesting company, SAP in France, 150 years old, very, very old company. And they were making electronic French fry maker. And everybody assumed that producing French fry maker require oil.
Right.
They make French fry maker without using the oil. Obviously, in fact, it's a very marginal oil. Obviously, Oprah loves this machine.
Yeah.
So that she actually tweeted. That's why he pushed up the 5% market share overnight. So these are type of examples who followed. Also, Ted Darko in the small entrepreneur who took over the company, $6 million worth. And within 2 years, he sold this company $860 million to Johnson & Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
These are companies who adopted and follow the process to make a Blue Ocean shift. So Blue Ocean shift documented those successful examples by tracking what process they used, in what way they have done it, what kind of growth consequences they have produced. So there are many examples of entrepreneur, non-profits, profits, also even government. So these are Blue Ocean shift has fascinating many of those examples, how they made Blue Ocean shift in action.
The phone number for you to join in with your comments or your questions is 844-WHARTON, 844-942-7866. Or if you can't get to your phone, you can ask your question via Twitter, and we'll bring it up on the show that way, either at BizRadio111, B-I-Z Radio 111, or my Twitter account, which is at Dan Loney, Loney 21. We go to Bozeman, Montana. Joe is on the line. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I've got a question here regarding adding new product lines or going into these new markets. I work for a software company, and we have a very strong footprint of complementary products. But one of the challenges that we face is that whenever we add a new, I could say, pillar to the product footprint, it can be disruptive to the sales force as well as internally with the company, because we have to start learning how to sell a new product, how to develop the new product, go-to-market strategy, and things like this. So I was wondering if you had any recommendations on how you can add these new blue oceans without causing too much disruption internally.
All right. This is actually a good question. What I want to say that there are two forms of innovation and growth. One form certainly disruption. Disruption requires certain adjustment, as you described. But we should not forget another more important HAP we call non-disruptive creation, meaning there are many, many innovations that drive non-disruptive creation. For example, obviously, when you talk about non-disruptive creation, like a microfinancing industry, for example, and obviously the poor people has no access to capital. But these are non-customers who were never there before. But now, because of microfinancing, they were able to access to capital. Like a life coaching industry, $2 billion. It never existed 25 years ago, for example. Sesame Street, preschool edutainment, for example. LinkedIn. There are many, many possible lines you can add without disruption. So therefore, as an entrepreneur or as business executive, you should not only thinking disruption, but issue what I'm addressing here. Whenever you talk about adding, people think disruption. That's obviously one part, but smaller part. Bigger part is huge growth opportunity occur by having non-disruptive creation, adding that entire to the portfolio. I just want to emphasize point of the non-disruptive creation is under-leveraged, totally never used the concept in our business vocabulary. So it's important that Blue Ocean shift, introduce this concept into it to minimize disruption in the marketplace.
Joe, great comment. Thank you very much for calling in. Greatly appreciate it. The phone number is 844 Wharton, 844-942-7866. Or if you can't get to your phone, send us a comment via Twitter, either at BizRadio111 or my Twitter account, which is at DanLoney21. So you mentioned disruption. Let me bring up that topic for a second, Chan. How do you view disruption as a whole? Because it is obviously something that has been, it's been kind of the catchword and kind of the catch area in business for the last several years.
Dan, that is really the question, a brilliant question I want to address because it's so important. Actually, some majority of us know Joseph Schumpeter, who is the father of the innovation, say that whenever you want to create something new, you need to destroy something. That's why new things are replacing old things. Therefore, replacement was the concept behind of it. He called creative destruction. So the creative destruction was way to creating. Therefore, we took for granted this is an ocean. And then over time, of course, recently, concept of disruption came along. Then disrupt this, disrupt that. Therefore, in public or private sector speech or talking or the teaching, disruption has taken for granted the concept for creating anything new. Obviously, what we found in Blue Ocean shift, it is a partial conception of a creation. We found that obviously some innovation create disruption, such as when you offer a breakthrough solution for an existing industry problem, obviously new things replace old. But when you identify and solve a brand new problem or seize a brand new opportunity, this doesn't have to disrupt existing ones. It's about, we call non-disruptive creation occur. As I gave example like microfinancing, ringtone, Sesame Street, for example, even Viagra. It didn't disrupt anything what existed because it totally brand new problem resolved. What we found in engine of growth to making growth happen, this notion of a non-disruptive creation is so critical. Therefore, what we want to, obviously, one implication, for example, and as an entrepreneur, if you want to disrupt, nowadays almost mantra of the Silicon Valley for entrepreneurs, disrupt this, disrupt that. But think about it. You are the small guy in the industry. There's big guy out there. You are the David. You are attacking Goliath. What is probability of succeed? When you think about it, statistics shows us that 9 out of 10 cases you fail. We took for granted this acceptable level of success in entrepreneurship. But for us, it's never acceptable. Can you imagine you enter business, your ratio of success is only 10 to 20%? That's too low. This understanding of disruption, always we thought so difficult to achieve success. Therefore, what we found, important concept of non-disruptive creation was born through the research process Blue Ocean Shift.
You mentioned, Chan, a little while ago, you talked about business schools. And I'm guessing to a degree, does this have the opportunity to impact how business schools teach in the future?
Yes, certainly. That's what, obviously, now we enter business school in core curriculum of strategy.
Right.
Now today we define what is a strategy. Many professors still say it's how to compete. But how to create is missing topic. Why is that so? Because now today how to create has been taught in the class of entrepreneurship, innovation course. Why is that so? It's because creating is seen as serendipity, has a serendipity. So they thought it's random chance, trial and error process. But we lack systematic tools to reproduce the creativity. And also, we don't understand how to go about it. Blue Ocean Shift produces, shows 5-step process, how to create. Once we know how to go about creating in systematic way, it should be part of a core curriculum of strategy in the core course. We believe in a future post-coming decades where supply far exceeding demand. Creating is important strategic task. Without creating, you end up racing to the bottom by beating your neighbors continuously. That has a limit. Mm-hmm. So therefore, our core curriculum in business school should teach how to create in systematic way. So we believe Blue Ocean Shift has big room for the contribution. It's almost like Dan, you know the Six Sigma, right?
Yes.
Because we always say quality management, abstract concept.
Right.
But when Six Sigma came with systematic process and tools, quality management is no longer abstract notion.
Right.
It became very powerful process to make that happen. Same as creativity, innovation, creating things. Because Blue Ocean Shift can contribute to the building how to create things in more systematic way. I think there's huge implication for how strategy core should be taught in business school, that we hope Blue Ocean Shift make good contribution towards that change.
844-942-7866 is the number if you'd like to join in. To the phones we go again. La Quinta, California. Sherry is on the line. Sherry, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for having Dr. Chan on. I have read Blue Ocean Strategy. My question is, for the companies that are operating with this strategy and the ones that are successful and younger, you talk about how it's a culture and the organization and the communications, the interdepartmental communication is very important. My curiosity is, how are employees brought in to begin with? How are they compensated that would match up with the Blue Ocean strategy?
And Chan, I'm going to say we got about a minute and a half left, if you can do it in that time frame.
Sure. I think Blue Ocean Shift suggests that it's more than payment or incentives. It's about the humanness. In the end, what is most essential, payment is obviously important, but essentially humanness, about the competence to act. We can have beautiful roadmap how to do it. But if you don't have a competence to act, you're missing this entire dimension of humanness in the process. We call this confidence. This we found is very important to make things happen, especially for creating things rather than competing things. So this question is a very good question to bring about importance competence. We many times ignore this dimension, only talking about tools. So we have, in the beginning, as Dan, you asked the question, a Blue Ocean perspective, market creating tools with guidance, but also very important element of humanness and process. We call it building a competence.
Greatly appreciate the call, Sherry. Thank you very much. Chan, unfortunately, I have to end it there. Thank you very much for your time. We wish you all the best with the book between you and Renee, and we look forward to talking to you again when there is a next Blue Ocean shift or whatever that next piece is. Thank you again.
Dan, thank you very much to introduce me to talk about Blue Ocean Shift, our new book.
Thank you
very much for all of the questions.
Thank you. Chan Kim, the book Blue Ocean Shift is available in bookstores and online.